Chapter 92, Advanced Artificial Intelligence 1. In Zhutui's expectations, the clone body in the incubation chamber should be as tall, handsome, and suave as he was. It should be a clone body that could be called a work of art. But what the hell was this doll? Zhutui's version of a large-headed doll was standing in the incubation chamber. The figure's head and neck were exactly the same as Zhutui's current body. However, the figure's image from down below the neck was slightly different from what he thought. Not only were its limbs small, but it did not even have any hair when he looked downward. It definitely had an 18-year-old head and a 9-year-old body. At this moment, there was a real-life big-headed doll standing in the incubation chamber. The entire scene was filled with humor. Zhutui felt as though he had just received a massive blow to his image. His first reaction was that he must not let in Wuxia see his figure. There's no need to be surprised. The time I took to nurture your clone body was relatively short. It has only been a little more than a month. Your head and neck areas that are related to your mind power should be developed first. We can use that for our experiments. The rest of your body would need at least a year to fully mature and meet the medical needs, and Zhao Xu's voice rang out. This is also why the cloning technology in our institute is so advanced. Not only does it grow extremely quickly, but the extent of its cloning is also infinitely close to 100%. It can also be adjusted to fit its needs. You've seen this? Zhutui's faint voice rang out. I've examined your clone body when it was still a baby. Basically, as long as I am around, I will examine your clone body every week, so as to prevent any clones from accidentally dying and contaminating or damaging the equipment, and Wuxia explained. Every week. This answer made Zhutui feel as though he was being watched. And Zhao Xu's understanding of him had reached a motherly level. However, what could he do? Could it be that he could look at her too? Zhutui restrained the shy feeling that he felt for some reason. He followed in Zhao Xu's instructions and injected the first completed genetic transcriptional fluid into the neck of the first clone. Less than 3 seconds after he administered the syringe, the large-headed Zhutui seemed to have gone insane. His weak limbs and large head started to twitch violently. Bang! A zone of the clone's eyeballs exploded. The clone lost all signs of life. It was a horrifying feeling to witness his other self die just like that. At this moment, Zhutui was a little thankful for the big-headed clone body. If the clone body was identical to him, he would have to bear immense pressure now that he saw the clone body die. Continue. Change to transcriptional carrier fluid number 2. Repeat the other steps. And Zhao Xu's voice was very calm. Clone number 2 was in an even more pathetic state than clone number 1. Brain matter was pouring out of its ears and eyes. Clone number 3 bled from all of its orifices and died. The eyes of clone number 4 bulged and it stopped breathing. Even though it was a big-headed figure, Zhutui's body was covered in a cold sweat when he saw the big-headed clone die in front of him. Fortunately, he had the clone body to pave the way. Otherwise, he would not have known how he died after being administered with the genetic transcriptional fluid. Previously, Zhutui had read in the reports that many scientists were experimenting on themselves. He did not believe it in the past. Wasn't experimenting on themselves courting death? Did they think that they were invincible? Wouldn't that make them a fool? But now, he believed it. A scientist was experimenting with his clone body. Who said that scientists were stupid? Zhutui felt that he, who was experimenting on the clone body, might be able to be included in the list of scientists. He was rather lucky. After being administered with the genetic transcriptional fluid, clone number 8 did not die on the spot. Instead, it survived. Zhutui thought that the experiment would end with the surviving clones. Move clone number 8 over there and connect it to the brainwaves and life monitor. Draw its blood and remove the cerebrospinal fluid. Place it in the device and do a full biochemical analysis. Obtaining a blood sample from a device was not difficult for Zhutui. However, this was the first time Zhutui was extracting cerebrospinal fluid. His hands trembled when he was extracting the fluid. He was afraid that the injection would kill clone number 8 that he had worked so hard to save. Fortunately, he could use his mental senses and controlled his strength well. Clone number 8 did not die a tragic death at Zhutui's hands. On the third injection, he successfully extracted the cerebrospinal fluid and placed it into the full biological testing device. Continue, and Zhao Saxui suddenly said. Zhutui turned around. He did not understand what Zhao Saxui meant. Continue the steps of the genetic transcriptional fluid experiment. Just now and test out the other clones, and Zhao Saxui instructed. Isn't there a conclusion? Wouldn't it be a little wasteful if we continue? What if the brainwave feedback of clone number 8 is that of an idiot? Zhutui was speechless. We have to make the best choice. That is the goal of the experiment. Today, this is both an experiment for you and a lesson from me. Our genetic miracle research class, and Zhao Saxui explained. Zhutui nodded gently, then started experimenting again. He once again witnessed the deaths of his clones. 12 clones died in a row. Number 20 survived after being administered with the genetic transcriptional fluid. Clone number 29 was still alive. None of the clones succeeded even after the 35th clone died.